Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In our last sitting on Dua Kumail, we discussed the questions that are of preliminary but vital importance. Where does the dua come from? Who taught it and to whom was it taught? In what circumstances was it taught? How authentic is the dua? For how long has it been recited? Since recording that first session, I have met friends who have told me how they have had hajat, how their non-Shiite friends have had hajat, and they introduced them to this dua and the hajats were fulfilled. One can see how close and dear the dua is to Allah, glorified and exalted. It is my prayer for all of us that may we all continue reciting this dua, and may Allah not only accept our hajat for the sake of this dua, but grant us more knowledge of Himself and more knowledge of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. The dua, as you would expect, commences with a discussion on Tawheed, on the various qualities of Allah, glorified and exalted. There are 10 attributes of Allah, glorified and exalted, that are set out in the very opening words of this dua. It is common to seek dua, to seek supplication from Allah for the sake of His own good names. And the way Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has done it, selecting those beautiful names which he sets out and selecting them from the holy book so that they have authenticity in his selection, so that there is depth in his selection, so that those names become acceptable to Allah, glorified and exalted, they having been taught to His creatures in His own book. The very opening words of that dua, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. O Allah, I commence this dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka, I seek from you, bi rahmatika allati, by your mercy. Is there anything that can excel the mercy of Allah, glorified and exalted? And what better avenue can we seek as the creatures of Allah, glorified and exalted, than to seek from Him through His mercy? And that is the quality of the myriad qualities of Allah, glorified and exalted, that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam selects in commencing this dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. And we will come to that in a second. But before I come to wasi'at kulla shay, let me say just one other thing. In doing so, in commencing this dua, through the rahmah, through the mercy of Allah, glorified and exalted, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is depicting the analogy from divinity itself, from the way Allah commences His own book. His own book starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Allah in His book commences His words to His creatures by calling Himself Rahman, the merciful. He starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the merciful. The first quality of Allah that He teaches to His creatures is His quality of Rahmah, His quality of mercy. And keeps repeating it. That ayah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, is repeated before almost all surahs except one, Surah Tawbah. But apart from Surah Tawbah, it is placed at the commencement of every surah, because every surah is a rahmah from Him. And we are told that before we do anything, we should say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and commence everything in the name of Allah, because commencing anything in the name of Allah with seeking rahmah from Allah is almost bound to ensure that the task becomes successful. And hence, we not only teach our children, but we make it a point ourselves always to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Indeed, the teaching is to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim aloud, so that we are sure of saying it. So Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam commences this supplication by saying, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. What rahmah is he talking about? The vastness of the rahmah, of the mercy of Allah, glorified and exalted. He says, bi rahmatika allati wasi'at, it has stretched, wasi'at kulla shay, it has stretched over everything that exists. The point Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam makes is that nothing can exist without the rahmah, without the mercy of Allah, glorified and exalted. And this is a teaching in the Holy Book itself. And these words, that the rahmah is wasi'at kulla shay, are words in the Holy Quran itself. And Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, in his vast and deep knowledge of the Holy Book, catches those words from the Holy Book and makes them his opening words of that dua. This is the competence of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And this is why we devote ourselves to his teachings, to his du'as, because they have the kind of effect that we are now discussing. It captures not only the reciter, but one hopes that Allah becomes pleased with it. Indeed, when one wants to address a ma'soom like Allah, glorified and exalted, who is faultless, then it is best to address him in using the words, the acumen, the knowledge of one whom, in the human form, of course, a human being cannot be compared with divinity. Divinity is its own monopoly. Nobody can reach it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. There is no entity that can reach Allah, glorified and exalted. He is at his own level. He is the creator. And Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, like all other human beings, is a creature of Allah, and so he calls himself repeatedly, and in a very, very demeaning way, submitting himself to Allah, glorified and exalted. But of the humans that he has created, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is one who has never been seen faulted by anybody. No, never has he been seen doing a wrong or committing a sin, ma'adallahi ta'ala. So, employing the words of a person at that level is the appropriate person to use in order to praise Allah, glorified and exalted. And that is why we do not recite du'as except those that have been couched and have been taught by a ma'soom, by a representative of Allah, glorified and exalted, so that we are sure that the information that is conveyed to us is information that is conveyed to him by Allah, glorified and exalted, and we are sure of the authenticity and correctness of it vis-a-vis Allah. We do not then say things about Allah, glorified and exalted, that are demeaning to the status and personality of Allah, glorified and exalted. Because one way to make sure that our du'as are not accepted is saying lies about Allah, glorified and exalted. But when Allah is addressed in a manner befitting Him, then the chances of that du'a being accepted are so many more fold greater. This is why when you wish to make a petition, even to a judge of the High Court, you go to a solicitor and you get him to draft the petition in a language suitable to go to a judge of the High Court. When you want to make a petition to Her Majesty the Queen, you write it in court language, what is called court language, so that it is acceptable to the recipient, Her Majesty herself. So if we want to address the King of all kings, the highest of the order, what are the words that we employ? What are the words we employ? Indeed, one finds that the ones who have been sent by Allah, glorified and exalted, to be His representative on earth, are the best people to teach us how to address Allah, how to invoke Allah in a manner in which what we seek is accepted by Allah, glorified and exalted. And this is why when a person sought to write a dua himself and went to the sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, and said to him, I'd like you to look at a dua I have written. The sixth Imam alayhi salam says, don't bother even to show me. It is not your task, it is not your competence to write du'as to be addressed to Allah, glorified and exalted. Confine yourself to the du'as we have taught. Because in the du'as we have taught, there is a balance. There is a balance. There was a companion of the sixth Imam alayhi salam, and I am glad I am saying these things in the very preliminary session so that I do not need to say it again in the remaining sessions that come. A companion of the sixth Imam alayhi salam comes to him and says, in the last days, the Dajjal will be a menace. How do we avoid ourselves? How do we protect ourselves from his menace? And the sixth Imam alayhi salam says, write down a dua that I will teach you now. To recite at that time. When you see him, say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya Allahu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik. Ya Allah, then O merciful, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, O one who controls the hearts, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik. Make my heart firm on your religion. This person, this companion of the sixth Imam alayhi salam, in writing it down, said, Thabbit qalbi wa absari ala dinik. And the Imam alayhi salam turns to him and said, I did not say absar. I just said, Thabbit qalbi ala dinik. There is another dua in which the dua is to us seeking from Allah that He should keep our heart, Thabbit qalbi, our heart, my heart, wal absari, and my sight, ala dinik. But not in this particular dua that the sixth Imam alayhi salam was teaching vis-a-vis the Dajjal. And so he said, I did not say in this case. Do not add what I do not say. So it is very important. And as we come along in the dua additions that people make which are not in the dua, I shall take the liberty to point them out so that we refrain ourselves from doing so. The teaching is to remain in the context and within the parameters taught by a Masoom alayhi salam, so that what we present to Allah is that which is taught by an infallible. And so the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam become so vital in Dua Kumail. And this is how he chooses his words. This is how he chooses to start his supplication. Start with the rahmah, seeking rahmah of Allah, glorified and exalted, saying, Allahumma nasaluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. I seek to start, to begin this supplication by seeking your rahmah, bi rahmatika allati, yes, wasi'at kulla shay, that encompasses, that pervades everything. Every creation on earth. And we embark, you can see we embark on the question of Tawheed in the very first sentence taught by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allahumma nasaluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. His first teaching to us as he opens up to Allah, glorified and exalted. Look at the dichotomy of the functioning of that opening verse. He says that birahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. He says to Allah, I seek to open by your mercy which pervades everything that is on earth. Indeed, how can there be anything on this earth without mercy of Allah, glorified and exalted? So everything on this earth, That understanding by us on Tawheed of Allah, glorified and exalted, that everything on earth is a mercy from Allah, is a great teaching, a great knowledge. And knowing that is knowing Allah so well, alhamdulillah ta'ala. So he opens up, and if we truly look at everything that is in this world, it is a mercy. Allahumma nasaluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. Everything that is created here, Allah's mercy pervades over it, and everything is a mercy. Every creation is a mercy. Our creation is a mercy. But look at the plants around us. Their creation is so much a mercy. Not only do the plants provide us food, but they take away, and I will not detain you on these matters that are so well known to you, yet just remind you of them, just point them out to you. Carbon dioxide, which we exhale. And if we keep exhaling carbon dioxide, how much carbon dioxide there would be? Yet he creates plants, and the plants need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, for the manufacture of their own food. Indeed, they exhale oxygen. Plants exhale oxygen, which we need for our living. So you can see how mercy of Allah pervades over everything. Everything that is created is a mercy. When we exhale carbon dioxide, which is harmful to us in the body, it is a mercy to the plants. They inhale it. When oxygen is exhaled by plants, it is a mercy to us, and we inhale it. This is but one example. That example can be multiplied many more fold. All the sessions allocated to me by Ahlul Bayt TV would be over in just setting out these myriad examples. What is food for fish may be inimical to other living things, and what is a mercy to other living things may be inimical to the fish, and one finds that this system of mercy from Allah pervades everything. Indeed, the way Allah creates baby's milk from the mother, and this one finds not only in humans, but one finds it in animals. One finds that situation in fish. How babies suckle from their mother's breasts. A mercy that, and how that milk is produced in the bodies of these living things. I'm not talking only of humans, but all these mammals that breastfeed their children, the way it is provided within the body, the way it is contained, the way the baby, newly born baby, without having been taught, finds the food, comes to the milk and sucks the milk is breathtaking altogether. And indeed, one says to oneself, how can all this take place in such an organized way, in such a uniform way, in such an established way, without there being one who has ordained it? And one finds it is a great mercy, and this is why in our supplications we have been taught to say, Ya Rahimul Shaykhul Kabir, Ya Raziq al-Tifl al-Saghir, O one who has mercy on an elderly sheikh and provides rizq to a tifl al-Saghir, to a young child. This child is just born. The child does not even have the capacity to learn from a teacher, and yet instinctively that knowledge is put in the child, that he looks for the milk and knows where to find the milk in his mother's body and suckles and obtains food. What a mercy from Allah, glorified and exalted. This is, as I say, just one example, and one can go on finding these examples again and again, and nature provides these courses in many respects. That is just one example I have set out for living things, but there are examples in non-living things. the constellations, for example, the stars, the way they are born, the way they die, the way they sustain themselves and are able to produce what they need for their sustenance, what they need to keep them hanging. Indeed, as Allah glorified and exalted says, hanging in the atmosphere without support, bila amad, and they remain there, obtaining all the support that they need from the forces that Allah glorified and exalted has created, that gives them the gravitational pull and gives them at the same time the balancing capacity, and they sustain themselves, and these stars exist in millions, and Allah provides them their sustenance, provides them what they need to keep themselves going. I cited one example from the earth, one example from the heavens, and one can go on and on. The mercy of Allah is endless indeed. Indeed. The point Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, Allahumma nasaluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. He says, there isn't anything that you have created. There isn't anything that you have created. Kulla shay, whatever exists on this earth, is a mercy from Allah, glorified and exalted. And this is why we see anything and we say Allahu Akbar, we say Subhanallah, we say Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah on seeing everything, because none of His creation is in vain. Allah is an entity that does not act in vain. Whenever He creates for a good reason. Ma khalaqta hadha batila. You have not created all this, anything of this in vain. You haven't created it for nothing. Every creation has a reason. There is nothing without a cause in this world. And not only in this world, but in the entire universe. And everything has a role to play. And indeed, Quran says everything worships of Allah, glorified and exalted. And so he commences this dua in this beautiful raising the omnipotence of Allah, the omnipresence of Allah, that in everything that exists there is the mercy of Allah. And indeed it is a capturing beginning and capturing commencement of this dua that absorbs the reciter into it, and indeed opens up the gates to the discussion of Tawheed, which we will inshallah follow up. Took some time today because it was the commencement of the dua and the rahmah of Allah, glorified and exalted. And so he begins that dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. I seek to begin this dua by your mercy. I do not seek to begin it by any of my piety, because I am not pious. I am a sinner before you. I do not seek to commence it as a knowledgeable person, because I am ignorant before you. I do not seek to show any of my goodness to you, because I have no goodness when I am supplicating to the very creator of goodness. He exalts Allah, glorified and exalted. It is a beginning that no other beginning has been able to match. It's an opening of a dua that no other opening of dua has been able to match. The comparable duas are only duas from his descendants. Duas of Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Farajahu, duas of Sayyid Sajjad Salawatullahi wa Salamu alayhi. But you can see that it is a beginning that comes about through depth of knowledge, through his appreciation of Allah, glorified and exalted. He was there when so much was being created, in a different world, in a different form. But he was there. Awwalu ma khalaqa Allah nuri. The Holy Prophet said the first light he created was the light of the Holy Prophet. And indeed, he said, Ana wa aliyun min nurin wahid. And from the same nur came Ali alayhi salam. So he was there from the beginning of time. So all this creation is the competent man to say to Allah, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay, knows exactly how to open his supplication. May Allah make us devoted followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. May He make us devoted reciters of the supplication of Kumail. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.